As I travel through life, certain gaming experiences become anchors for my memory. The game might be powerful in its own way, with unique gameplay, world design, or powerful storytelling, but if the game comes along at just the right time, a bond is created between my experience with the game and that chapter of my life. So it was that as a young new Green Beret at Fort Lewis, Washington in 2007, Bioshock became a companion of sorts to a challenging time for me and bore witness to a moment when an honest email from a distant friend changed everything. When I first experienced Bioshock, I had been adrift as a gamer for a number of years. In fact, I'd hardly played any games since joining the army. I remember I had StarCraft on a laptop, but I barely played that because I was usually too busy training at the time. Bioshock came at a perfect time for me. From the opening moments, I was hooked.
They told me, son, you're special. You were born to do great things. You know what? They were right.
I was so in the moment cresting the surface of the water, I didn't notice the game had given me control right then and there. I just kind of floated for a little bit. The watery inferno as you swim through, the eerie lighthouse in the distance. I couldn't get to the landing fast enough, not knowing what was lurking underneath me in the salty blackness. From this moment on, I made the commitment to only play Bioshock at night, in the dark, by myself. Ugh, I hated being cold. At that point, I had had plenty of cold water encounters during my training. I did think it was really weird that this was the first impression Andrew Ryan wanted people to have of him as they enter through the doors. I'd always had a soft spot for steampunk, which is what the bathysphere brought to mind. After that intro, whatever was ahead, I was ready for it, even though I'm claustrophobic and afraid of the ocean. Have you ever seen those old propaganda films from the 50s? I thought they did a great job of capturing that feel.
I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No.
It's also a great intro to Andrew Ryan's philosophy and helps set up the rest of the story.
I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different.
But my favorite moment in the entire opening sequence was that big reveal of Rapture.
I chose Rapture. A city where the artist would not fear the censor, where the scientist would not be bound by petty morality, where the great would not be constrained by the small. And with the sweat of your brow, Rapture can become your city as well.
It's really too bad you can only experience a game for the first time, one time. I was so ready to get immersed into that world because, at the time, my world was pretty miserable. A lot of times, gaming can be an escape from the trials of everyday life. At that time, I was a brand new Green Beret at Fort Lewis, Washington. I trained just over 2 years to get to that point, and I had such high expectations for the kind of people I would meet and the adventures I would have. The reality could not have been more different. I remember feeling excited and nervous as I walked into the team room for my very first ODA, or Operational Detachment Alpha, my very first A-team. I remember seeing the team sergeant, the team warrant officer, and the team captain all sitting in a corner just chatting. I nervously walk up, smile, and introduce myself, and they all just kind of sit there with this mischievous smile on their faces. You know, if you've ever been bullied, you know that look, right? The look that a bully has right before he punches you in the gut. I mean, they didn't punch me in the gut, but they did tell me to just sit over in the corner, and I did, and that was it. I sat there for a little bit, and I remember getting the game, right, to have me sit there just to see what I would do. And I did, for a while. I didn't want to be idle anymore, so I asked them where the equipment room was so I could go check the communications equipment. I was going to be the junior 18 Echo, the communications sergeant on the team. And so I did. I went into the equipment room and did inventory until everybody left in the evening, and then I left. My experience around the Special Forces compound wasn't any better. When I arrived, I expected to meet and work alongside men who embodied the high ideals of the Green Berets I'd come to idolize. What I got was macho bro dude senior NCOs, conniving office clerks, and a general atmosphere around the compound that was more like the worst parts of high school rather than an elite military unit. Instead of training, I got busy work. Instead of mentors, I got gatekeepers who kept me on the margins. My optimism slowly gave way to bitterness and resentment. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was slowly coming under the control and manipulation of a malevolent force.
Take a deep breath and step out of the bathysphere. I won't leave you twisting in the wind.
Utterly disappointed with my life on base, I couldn't wait to come home each day and dive headfirst into Rapture. I loved getting immersed as deeply as I could into every aspect of what the game could offer. Exploring every corner, searching every crate, fighting every big daddy, maxing out all of my abilities, taking every research picture. Oh my god, I took so many pictures. But for all my enjoyment that game brought me, by far the most powerful moments were my interactions with the Little Sisters.
Look, Mr. Bubbles, it's an angel. I can see light coming from his belly.
The Little Sisters are these creepy zombie girls going around with the big daddies collecting the genetics-altering substance known as Adam that you use for power-ups in the game. Something about that protective relationship between the big daddies and the Little Sisters touched a tender part of my heart. After their initial intro in the beginning, I remember the first time you get to choose how to deal with a vulnerable little sister.
Be shot next.
Easy now, Doctor. He's just looking for a wee bit of Adam. Just enough to get by.
I'll not have him hurt my little ones.
It's okay, lad. That's not a child. Not anymore.
Atlas, your trusted guide, urges a more aggressive interaction.
Listen to me, Boyle. You won't survive without the antidotes. Things are carrion. Are you prepared to trade your life, the lives of my wife and child, for Tenenbaum's little Frankenstein?
Tenenbaum, a former scientist and de facto den mother to the sisters, pleads a softer approach.
Here! There is another way. Use this. Free from their torment. I will make it to be worth your while.
I have to reveal something about myself as a gamer right now. I could never turn to the dark side in Knights of the Old Republic. I've never done a Renegade run in Mass Effect, and I could never harvest a little sister. I'd like to think that makes me empathetic. Maybe that just makes me a big softy and a dork. But whenever I was brought to these moments, I just couldn't bring myself to harvest the little sisters. And as I came to learn, those choices made all the difference.
Thank you.
I was trapped. I'd spend my days being miserable at work, only to come home and dwell on it all night. I was a slave of resentment and a puppet of bitterness. And then, a lifeline. When I first started having trouble at work, I'd lamented my lot in life to a friend through an email, and he sent back a life-changing reply. The main point he made was that I had fallen victim to his words, pardon my language, a y'all motherfuckers attitude. This was his way of describing my selfish, immature reaction to my expectations not being met. I came to Fort Lewis with this grand vision of how Green Beret life was going to be. When things didn't go my way, when my teammates and others around the compound didn't treat me the way I thought I should be treated, I was too stuck in my preconceived ideas to readjust and change my perspective. My initial disappointment mutated into a negative attitude I blamed on everybody else. But it wasn't my teammates or the army that did that. It was me. My friend pointed this out, which stung, but it also exposed the trap I'd fallen into. I realized something crucial. I couldn't change my circumstances, but I could change myself. If I had such high ideals for what it meant to be a Green Beret, I could live those out, as best I could. That put the control in my hands instead of me giving it to others, which they didn't even know, by the way. I could escape the trap, and my friend's stern words helped me to realize that. For all the attention to detail I thought I had playing through Bioshock, I didn't see the big reveal coming until it was staring me in the face. Like, literally.
A man chooses. A slave obeys.
I don't tend to pick up clues. I'm just a guy along for the ride. It's why a good mystery is such a thrill for me. I'm constantly surprised.
Stop. Would you kindly? Powerful phrase. Familiar phrase.
Would you kindly? Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find it? Would you kindly find it? Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch?
A man chooses. A slave obeys. Kill!
After seeing the Would You Kindly vision board and Andrew Ryan mind controlling me into the deadliest round of putt-putt ever, I finally got that Atlas had been manipulating me the entire time. But I was still surprised to find out like a lot of things in my life at that time, I took Fontaine's betrayal personally.
Kid. Don't forget to say hi to Ryan for me.
Oh good, the little sisters. At least there's still someone here I can trust.
Welcome back, child. Welcome to the city where you were born.
I was so relieved to wake up in Tenenbaum's nursery.
There he is. The one who will save us all.
I like him.
To hear the little sisters talking about how I'd helped them was a balm to my soul and a great payoff for choosing not to harvest them throughout the game. Though the real payoff was yet to come. Breaking free of the mind conditioning, you get a chance to become a big daddy in order to ascend to the final fight with Fontaine, who by this time has roided himself out with Adam. Admittedly, by this point, I was pretty maxed out in all my abilities, so taking him down was not hard.
Then I'm gonna cut you into bits.
she was, what she was capable of. Even that life you thought you had, that was something I dreamed up and had tattooed inside your head. Now, if you don't call that family, I don't know what is. And now...
The ending of Bioshock was surprisingly short, but so tender and satisfying.
They offered you this city. And you refused it. And what did you do instead? What I've come to expect of you. You saved them. You gave them the one thing that was stolen from them. A chance. A chance to learn. To find love.
Oh yeah, there were tears.
To live. And in the end, what was your reward? You never said. But I think I know. A family.
I didn't know at the time there were different endings, but really I could never have chosen a different path. But I did choose a different path after my friend's email. My circumstances didn't change. I did. In Bioshock, whatever the short-term gain, there was a greater reward waiting for me if I chose not to harvest the Little Sisters. And in my life, if I chose to let go of my unfair expectations, I opened a portal to greater rewards as well. I met each new day ready to do my best and began to see busy work as training opportunities. I gave my teammates a second look and, after a while, saw some top-notch Green Berets. Well, some of them. Slowly but surely, I grew. I went through a tough chapter in my military life in those early days. My friend's email helped to make those days a little bit easier. And because I had the joy of playing through Bioshock at the same time, the memories of both spliced together to create a treasure trove of memories. To me, it's one of the unique joys of living life as a gamer. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.